Brian Michael Bendis, own section of the DC Universe, the Wonder Comics imprint has officially launched with Young Justice number 1. This is the review. Let's get into it. What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm your host, as always, C-Dubs, and I'm riding solo on this video. And guys, we are here today because last Wednesday, the Wonder Comics imprint of the DC Universe has launched, and it is launched with its first official for 2019 Young Justice number 1. And if you're wondering what is Wonder Comics imprint, this is a section of the DC Universe given to Brian Michael Bendis to gear basic stories to young adults, if you will. And what better team other than the Teen Titans to gear towards young adults? And of course, with a brand new season 3 out, is Young Justice. And as we all know, this is penned by, or I should say, this is written by Brian Michael Bendis, and the art is by Patrick Gleason. And I gotta say right off the bat that this was quite interesting, but it left me with a lot of questions. So let's go ahead and jump right on into this, guys. Now, as we all know, Brian Michael Bendis loves to tag strings along, if you will. And I tell you what, this story is no different. So I'm hoping we get some answers soon because I have a lot of questions. So as the comic picks up, we find ourselves wandering through a wasteland with bat-like creatures flying through the sky, and it really looks like something straight out of Star Wars, if you will. But we come to find this dark figure wandering, and we've come to find out that this is known as Gem World. And DPZ, don't get your hopes up. We are not talking a Steven Universe Young Justice crossover. As much as you want that to happen, we got to save that for our own fanfiction universe because that's not happening here. Sorry, buddy. And guys, we find out that this is Gem World, and we are talking to King Opal. And King Opal lets us know that there have been 7 crises that have affected not just the DC Prime world, if you will, but has affected their world each and every time as well. And they can no longer stand that. There will not be another situation that goes unanswered, if you will. So, King Opal sends his guard, we believe, to Metropolis to talk to Earth's greatest champion. And who is Earth's greatest champion? But Superman, of course. And just as we get ourselves to Metropolis, we see Superman leaving Metropolis with a quickness. Now, we do not find out why or where he is during this issue, but hopefully we'll figure that out soon. But what we do see is a young redhead young lady getting pulled over by a cop in Metropolis, if you will. And this cop asks her to step out after seeing the shotgun in her back window. She explains to the cop that she is actually planning on moving, or she's actually moving to the big city, and that, the gun was given to her by her dad. And we see that it is none other than Jenny Hex. Now, this brought me some questions to my attention. Is this the daughter of Jonah Hex, or the granddaughter, or the great-granddaughter of Jonah Hex? It wouldn't make sense to me fully if it was her dad. But, however, she did say her dad gave her the gun, so we'll see if this is actually the lineage of Jonah Hex, or if she's just another pretender, if you will. But the first thing that did pop into my head looking at this image here is I did notice that lovely X across her belt. It's actually, I believe, supposed to be 2 guns, but she just so looks like a young Kitty Pryde to me right there. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not. It's the first thing I thought of. But with a quickness, all of a sudden, a giant cock-a-doom has affected the area, and she quickly jumps in and saves this police officer's life. And we see these gemmed warriors from Gem World again coming to Metropolis looking for the greatest warrior, the champion of Earth, and none other than Superman. And for some reason, Superman is not available. And they wreak havoc on the town. We see them basically blasting this gem crystallization across all kinds of things. People, parts of the city, and we see Jenny Hex just doing her best to hold off these warriors with none other than a shotgun at hand. And who comes to her aid? None other than Tim Drake, Robin. That's right, I said Robin, not Red Robin. Yum. And we see the two of them kind of go back to back and just totally holding off and doing their best to fend off these warriors and saving as many in the city as possible. And then we skip to a few moments just before the landing, if you will, of these gemmed warriors, and we see that Tim Drake stumbled upon Wonder Girl. And there starts some more questions for me because last I checked, she and he, they weren't on the same team, but yet they're talking as if they were. So I'm a little confused. And again, the last time we saw Tim Drake, okay, he and Stephanie Brown, spoiler, were leaving to find out what happened to the last 10 years within the DC universe. Okay? Not to mention, to me, he looks a little younger here than he does, in the Batman books, if you will. And we find out that she is here trying to find herself, and she is basically, when all this destruction starts, she basically tells Robin that she wants no part of it and to leave her basically be while he joins, to save the day, if you will. And we see Robin gets right into the mix, just kicking the crap out of one of these gems called Topaz, and he just totally whoops his butt. You'd expect nothing less from Tim Drake. And again, we just start to see some more devastation throughout the city. They see that these gemmed warriors are just laughing at our, the fact that we use long range weapons and bullets, and that they make fun that these are their law enforcements. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, is Impulse. And what is so awesome about this cover here that you can see this imagery is that he is so sporadic, and this is exactly the way Impulse sounds in my head and how he should be portrayed. He's just so sporadic. And, he runs in saving these children, and they're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Impulse." They're like, "Who?" And he's like, "Oh, Kid Flash." He goes, "Well, why didn't you say so?" And just moving along, we get to see him just basically saving the day. And what I love about this spread here, guys, is that he is just so fast and so sporadic that he can't even be contained within a panel. This is one of the coolest things that I've seen in art, in comics, in a long time. I just love the design here of him just literally jumping from panel to panel and outside of the panel, if you will, saving everything from cats to babies, children, and all the while, Hex and Robin are still holding off these gemmed warriors. And just as it looked like the gem warriors were going to get the upper hand, in comes Wonder Girl. And, she lets them know right off the bat that she didn't want any part of this, but she's not going to let them just beat up on her friend. And, of course, they do, the Gemmed Warriors do get the upper hand, and we are introduced to what is known as Teen Lantern. And I know you ask yourself, Teen Lantern, I've never heard of her. And it's just what the world needs, another lantern, right? But we do see that she is inside of a giant mech, and that is always a good thing in my book. Plus, from what we see in the beginning of the book, if you will, on the cover page, we do get to see where her power comes from, which I think is kind of spoiled because, within the contents of the comic book itself, we don't find out, or we don't actually see her per se, okay, wielding a lantern ring or not. So I do think they kind of failed there with the cover art. But also within the panel, we also find out that Tim Drake is like, "Are you using bullets?" He's like, "Are you using a gun? Are you using bullets?" He's like, "Don't you have anything that's, a little less violent, if you will, a little less permanent?" And we see her crack open her trunk in her back of her pickup truck, and she brings out some futuristic looking tech, which looks absolutely cool and is one way to get around her actually using bullets and killing people, of course. And we get this cool little spread of each one of them kind of fending off one of the warriors, doing their thing. And to me, it's just very, team-oriented. It gives me a lot of, Young Avenger vibes, if you will. So I'm kind of digging this. We get to see, Robin doing his thing, Impulse. Actually, Impulse on several of the panels here. And, of course, he's letting them know throughout the whole thing. He's like, "Oh, it's happening, it's happening." And he's like, "Young Justice is back." And to me, I want to ask, when were they ever together, to be honest with you, within the DC, New 52 and Rebirth? We haven't had them. So how are they back? Did he go through time? Did he, I don't know. I just have tons and tons and tons of questions, to be honest with you guys. And, we see them kind of band together, and Young Justice is getting together, and the Teen Lantern, she's basically saying, I can come up with a better name. Am I a part of this team? And whatnot. And we see them fending off these gemmed warriors. So the gem warriors kind of retreat, and they leave this hole open with a portal, and the Young Justice team members all kind of jump right in there to kind of find out what was going on, get rid of them. And as they all wake up, as they all go through the portal, they all wake up, it seems like, in different areas. And to be honest with you, we find this brightly lit foe holding a blade to Robin. And no doubt, of course, the cover kind of spoiled it as well. There's no doubt that this young lady is going to be joining the team here shortly. And again, we see kind of Speedy doing his thing, running all over, and he's like, you? And who else other than Superboy, Connor Kent, in his Metropolis Kid uniform of all things, not in his New 52 cover. And another thing that kind of freaked me out about this comic book, to be honest with you, gave me lots of questions, was also Tim Drake mentioning Connor when, as of right now, they've never known each other as far as the continuity. So that makes me start to question exactly what is going on here, okay, within this comic book. But this is just a quick review, guys. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I love the colors in it. I love the team dynamic of everything and how they're all kind of just, seem to be having fun already as the team as they get together. This book was really just more so introducing everybody really quickly to get them together and put them in a situation where they have to band together. So I definitely can see the potential to this particular story. But however, it just honestly did leave me with a ton of questions. As you guys see on the cover again, guys, we see that the Green Lantern or Teen Lantern, where she gets her power from, we see that she's going to be quite powerful, if you ask me. And we see the futuristic weaponry that Jenny Hex is going to be wielding as well. Again, this has just brought so many questions. To be honest with you, Tim Drake and Bart Allen seem to know each other, but Tim Drake has never known this particular Bart Allen, so I don't know how they seem to know each other. Again, if this is in continuity and a part of the actual DC universe, there's just so many questions. Why is Tim Drake Robin and not Red Robin? How does Tim Drake know Connor? Okay. As well as why does Tim Drake also look so much younger? Old Superboy, how is he or why is he in his Metropolis Kid outfit? Is this basically because the Reign of the Superman is coming out next week? Is this because the last time Bendis read a Superboy comic, this is what he was wearing? I just don't know. And how is the team back when they've never existed within, since after Flashpoint, if you will? So it just really boggles my mind on where we stand with this team. But I do want to say that because of those questions, it has gotten me hooked, and I will be in it for the long haul, or until it just gets too many questions that I don't get answers to, where I just have to say, Bendiss, you done messed it up. But guys, yeah, Universe, if you've checked this out, let us know in the comments below if you have any of the answers to these crazy, mind-boggling questions down below. Oh, and there is one part of this comic book that I did leave out. I can't believe I left it out considering it's my thumbnail. So, when we are introduced in Pulse, we find out that he had just made his way to Canada 1 minute, and he was about to join Alpha, and we get cut off. Clearly, there's only one team we know from Canada that starts with Alpha, right? And that's Alpha Flight. So that's pretty interesting that there's some sort of connection to the DC universe and Marvel universe again. And of course, with Brian Michael Bendis being the writer, that's probably as far as the actual connection will be. But it is kind of funny that there was a nod to Marvel Comics there through Brian Michael Bendis writing that particular joke in there. And there's always been said that, beyond the source wall actually lies the Marvel Universe. So maybe we'll get an answer to that too. I doubt it, but we'll see. So, Universe, again, let us know if you read this comic. What did you guys think? If you plan on picking it up. I would definitely say this is a pickup, a pull right away, just because of the questions. That if we do get some good answers, there'll be something really interesting. And on top of that, in between weeks, while we're waiting for new episodes of Young Justice, what better way to spend your time than to read Young Justice, guys? So until next time, guys, don't forget to Hulk smash that like button and become a part of the universe, guys. And subscribe if you haven't already. We do all kinds of videos, guys. Everything from reviews to comic books and movies and fan fiction. We report on news. We do all types of things here, guys. And until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.